So much happening in the NBA recently. The NBA draft was this past Thursday. We had some picks. No, there goes a soundbite. We have some picks that was pretty self-explanatory and expected there. But maybe we saw some future stars that we haven't heard yet, and they're on the brink of greatness, like Nikola Jokic, late second round pick, and look what happened there. But the NBA draft was this past weekend. So much player movement all over the place, whether it's players getting traded and people opting out of contracts. A lot of good stuff happened in the NBA. We have an action-packed show for you to discuss all of it. Today's show, Hayden Nadler, Fresh Faces, New Ideas, Alex Young, and Alex Renelio joined us for the first time in a long time. What is up, everybody?
What up?
Going on?
Action-packed night. Happy to see everybody. Let's go.
Action-packed night indeed. So let us start with the NBA draft that took place on this past Thursday night from the Barclays Center. Before anything goes down, why don't we talk with somebody who was actually there? Alex Young, before we talk about the picks themselves and before we get our expert opinions out there, tell us about your experience at the Barclays Center watching the 2023 NBA draft.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I was down in Social Row, so a little bit away from the draft, but got to meet the whole class. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But the atmosphere was crazy. I went up to the first floor right before Victor's name was called. The place was rocking. It was awesome to see. It was cool to be there. It's part of history. A very historic draft. You felt that even downstairs, people running around. You see all these different reporters and celebrities walking around. Everyone wanted to be there. It was a really, really cool time. And yeah, I'll dive into, talk about the class and what I was kind of doing there. I was helping out with a shoot that we did that's been getting posted on social media and stuff. But got to meet the rookie class, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, really, really cool time. Barclays, I think, is a great spot for the draft. I'm also a big proponent of that it should move to different places. But the Barclays crowd was very into it once Adam Silver was up there for pick number one. And you definitely felt the excitement in the air throughout the night.
I love to hear it, and we are very proud of what you're doing with the NBA and getting to go to these events, Alex. Some amazing stuff, and keep up that great work.
Thank you.
Of course. So let us dive into the draft itself. Let's talk about, let's talk about some individual players at first, and we can hit on who has potential. It's hard to say who's a winner and loser. I mean, we can, but anything can happen in any draft anywhere. But focusing on the 2023 NBA draft, obviously pick number one was Victor Wembanyama. He was picked from France at the Metropolitans 92 team specifically. People are talking about how this is the next big thing. We've been talking about it for weeks. We have a Spurs fan to represent that fan base. And obviously Victor going number one isn't big news. But I have to start with this, with faces over here. There was a tweet, a publicity shoot of Victor, shooting, and he looked really, really bad.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Somebody's not.
Oh man,
He's
is he in
away.
Denial?
He's in
this?
denial. He's in denial.
Well, I'm sure he'll come back to defend what he has to say, but I don't know. Did you guys see this tweet of?
Yep.
It was like a promotional of Victor missing.
I mean, he was just he missed 2 shots. It's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, I was kind of
deleted.
I'm kind of even laughing that you're bringing this up. The guy missed like 2 shots,
But it's also he's in front of all these people. It's all the pressure there. I mean, come on, like
a Rockets fan faked the video. That's what happened.
Yeah.
It's literally the Rockets.
It also is. It was Twitter. Just unbelievable how easy it is for him to dunk. Like he literally doesn't even have to jump.
You don't have to jump. But
hold on. Let me get this. The Rockets fans are literally salty as fuck that they didn't get Victor because they thought he was coming, and they're just losing their shit on Twitter. The man is basically been awake for like 4 straight days.
Mm-hmm.
He threw out the first pitch, that he got drafted, that he had like a huge
thing. He was in France in the LNB finals. People forget about that. He literally played game 3 of the LNB finals. His team lost the championship, and he was immediately on a plane the next morning or whenever it was. Like he literally was done next morning in New York City doing all the stuff that we saw.
Do you guys think he's like a little like too hyped though? Because this is the most hyped NBA player I ever can remember in my lifetime. Probably next to LeBron. This is probably the most hyped number one pick I can ever remember.
I thought Zion was hyped up pretty big.
Over this guy? Absolutely not.
Not like
they're comparing
not
this
like
guy
this,
to Jordan.
But
they're comparing like Victor Wembanyama like Jordan right now.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and this is just because I saw a lot of his games on the NBA app. There's a reason why there's a lot of hype because we've never seen someone like him before. But I think the hype's warranted. But is there a lot of pressure on him right away? Yes.
I'm being honest with you. He's a little lanky. It looks like he's going to kind of get bullied in the paint.
Well, that's the thing. Like... Me and Faces talked about this before, and that was the key thing we talked about was that he definitely needs to add weight gradually as his career goes on. They're not going to throw like 30 pounds in him right away because we've seen what happened to anyone above 7 feet. That if you add like 30 pounds straight away, their feet are going to implode. But that was the key thing I think for a lot of people, especially me who watched a lot of his games. That anytime there's anyone that was like 6'9",
you see the Kenny Lofton
260, like anyone that's like over 260 was just bullying him. They just can back him and bully him. That's why when he faces the Embiids, he faces Jokic. He's probably going to get bullied. I think gradually over time they'll bulk him up. But that's I think the key concern from me at least watching is just what happens when he plays heavier set centers in the league.
There's like 4 heavy centers. Like this is in the 90s. Like there's like 4 heavy centers who he's got to worry about. It's Embiid.
The player
Jokic,
Giannis,
it's like Steven Adams.
Giannis at times he's probably going to be matched up.
Giannis they're going to have
the player that he kind of reminds me of a little bit is Chet Holmgren. If Chet Holmgren gets stay healthy, that's who he kind of reminds me of a little bit.
That was my comparison. He's so much bigger and he moves so much more fluid.
He is way more fluid.
Chet Holmgren was averaging like 20 though before he got hurt. Chet Holmgren looked really good. If he's healthy, Chet Holmgren's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, Chet was great in college.
Victor is
a different skill set. Like
Victor's wingspan is like he has like an 8.5 foot wingspan, right, or something like that.
Something
like that. Something ridiculous.
But people forget the numbers don't look great for Wemby shooting, but again he can space the floor. He has great handles for a guy who's 7'4".
Well, I mean, ideally he's going to be a guy who's going to get you 2-3 blocks a game. He'll get you 10 rebounds. He's going to be a guy who's going to dominate the paint. He's not going to be a guy you could drive on.
I think people already comparing him. I think didn't Chris Broussard say if he doesn't live up, if he's not like Hakeem Olajuwon, he named 3 Hall of Famers.
It was like an absurd shit.
Yeah, I was like, not right away. This people are thinking right away. This guy is going to be.
No, they got to give him like a year.
You got to give him a few years to adjust. I say my bar for him this season, he has to be at least better than Paolo Banchero's stats, which he had 20 points and almost 7 rebounds a game. I would say he needs to have at least 20 and 10.
Probably average 20 and 10.
To be honest with you, I don't necessarily know if Wembanyama is going to be the guy who's going to have a big stats guy. I feel like he's going to be the type of guy that's going to get you he's going to protect the paint. You're going to be a much better team defensively with Wembanyama, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he could. That's the thing, though. It's he can do a little bit of everything. So it's he can rim protect, but you also need him to score. He can.
But it's also not like we think of. This is a really good comparison to young Timmy put up insane stats.
Yeah.
But he's still even a regular Timmy game was he put up 20-12, 2 blocks, they'd win by 15, he would go home. There's no reason he can't be doing the next generation level version of this shit.
Yeah.
Obviously, and so this is something I talked about before, the new CBA stuff came out and we were realizing what the aprons were gonna look like. I was like, yeah. They should go trade for DeAndre Ayton because you need that guy for those first couple of years while he develops and gets bigger. I don't know who that is now. I think at this point it's probably Brook Lopez if they're going to sign somebody because they need to spend $17 million on to hit the cap floor. So it's like a Brook Lopez, Grant Williams thing. I don't want to trade for what's his face Nurkic because he sucks.
He's always hurt too.
But if they got Steven Adams in some way, that would be fine. Or even fucking Zach Collins. Start Zach Collins and move and just don't have a nominal point guard. And he's not gonna guard the biggest dudes. It's just not a skill set. I'm fine with him. The dude, look, San Antonio's lost their shit over this guy. He seems like he's very aware of where he is. There was that picture that is just insane. It's him it's Duncan, it's David Robinson, it's
Manu,
Manu.
right? Yeah, so that.
Yeah.
Like he's so much fucking bigger than them, and it's like, like who? Like think of the people, like the amount of like basketball brilliance this kid is going to absorb. Like forever.
Oh yeah, he's in the perfect situation.
Yeah, like what is the joke? The Hornets version would be like Al Jefferson, like Deja Diop, Bismack Biyombo, and like Mason Plumlee.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds like the
Which,
Hornets
to be
version.
fair, like Al Jefferson for like 2 years was like an all-star, and he was like getting fringe MVP votes.
Yeah. Al Jefferson had like a good 5-6 year run, but that's not having what 4 in that picture alone. Is it 3? Are all 4 of them Hall of Famers? There's 3.
Yeah, they're
3 out of 4 of them.
3 out of 4, right?
Yeah.
So you have that.
Yeah, I think there's 15 rings in that picture.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
Last thing I want to talk about with Wemby before we move to the next thing. Are we concerned at all with him coming from what is the league exactly?
EuroLeague.
With that competition level, do you think he'll be able to easily adjust it to the highest level with the NBA?
To me, because I've been close to the situation. I know LNB. I know how he had it. He was playing for Mets 92, which they play like once a week. They play 40 or so games, but he didn't play as regularly. Yeah, it's like they didn't play regularly as some of the other teams in LNB.
He's going to play 65 games this year. He could qualify to win Rookie of the Year. And then it's not like that's what's going to happen. They're going to be very careful with it.
He has a goal to play every game this year. I don't think he's going to do that. I think it's going to take him a little while.
He plays every game.
I think they're going to gradually adjust to him just because his schedule was way different in LNB, but he did play in every game in LNB this year. He was very, very good. Obviously, they lost a championship to a team that played in EuroLeague and in Monaco. They're a very, very good team. But he played high level basketball. You don't have to worry about the competition. A lot of that talent is very good. There's former NBA guys in that league. But yeah, I think it is going to be an adjustment for him early on, especially playing in a league he was only playing about once a week, 2 games maybe a week, if that. So it's definitely going to be demanding and definitely going to be a learning curve. So I think San Antonio is going to ease him into it. I don't think they're going to rush him and have him play 35 minutes a night. I think he's going to get gradually more and more minutes as he gets more and more conditioned to the league. He did say he's going to play in Summer League, so I guess we'll see what they kind of plan to have him there. We saw what happened with Paolo last year. He played a few Summer League games and they rested him. I wonder if
the first 2.
Yeah, I think San Antonio, if they're smart, going to do the same thing that Orlando did with Paolo. They saw what he could do on the court. Okay, you're good. You're ready to go and rest him. I think they're going to go through that same track. But I definitely think there are some concerns from him getting adjusted and conditioning. But I think San Antonio is going to be very, 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 very smart with him and play him at limit minutes until he kind of gets, adjusted to the NBA speed.
And that's the other thing. Like, if because the first month of the season is absolute nonsense anyway. Yeah. Like, people are out of shape. People don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're like all over the place. Some guy is randomly hot. Like, remember there was a month where Eric Gordon shot 50% from the 3-point range.
Like that,
yeah. Like it's all types of nonsense. If he sucks or he's like putting up like 15 and 8, and he's not looking great in the first month, people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's a bust." It's like guys played like 12 basketball games like for the NBA. Like, give him a break. Like that's what he's gonna have like a level of hype that is very good for him being in San Antonio. Where they're like, just don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing is that it's all about location. Like San Antonio, you're going to have the minimal amount of distractions possible, especially with that.
Yeah,
so
that's the
best thing for an overseas guy. He's all hyped up. He's in a new environment. Like that's the best thing for him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. It would have probably been an interesting situation if we went to like New York or LA, where it would have been like the paparazzi.
Oh man, if you're going to New York or LA, they would have blown the fucking roofs off.
Yeah, it would have been so like probably
he would have gotten hurt in 10 minutes.
You're probably right that the fact that him going to San Antonio is actually a good thing.
Even Golden State, I mean, God forbid they landed into that spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of places he could have gone where I think it would have been very, very chaotic, which is why it's kind of like perfect.
Houston's the number 1 worst place for him to have been.
Well, that was the funny thing. I don't know if you guys remember, but when Houston got they had the 4th pick, when that got announced on lottery and they cut to Wemby and he fist pumped, you just knew,
Yeah.
he knew, okay,
I saw
that
that.
is
Yeah.
not the scenario for me to be in.
That's why
and
they're all
it's
mad at
true.
him.
Yeah, well, that too. But I mean, but again, Houston's not in the best scenario. Who knows? Maybe Ime changes things up. But yeah, that's also a lot of distractions in that
They're
city
in
too.
a massive rebuild,
Yeah,
Houston.
yeah.
Oh my god, they're a really bad one.
Very
Yeah.
much so. I want to talk about picks 2 through 5 really quick.
Mhm.
Brandon Miller goes to the Charlotte Hornets at number 2 from Alabama. He's the only college player in this bunch. Scoot Henderson winds up going 3 to the Blazers from the G League Ignite. And then we have the Thompson brothers, Aman and Osar. Aman's going to the Rockets and Osar's going to Detroit, both from the Overtime Elite. So with these 4 guys here, yeah, we could go all over the place. First, out of these 4, who do you think is going to be the most successful? We'll ask the bold question from there. Who's going to have the best NBA career?
Ooh, okay.
I like Scoot
I think-
Henderson.
I
That's
was
what
gonna
think.
say I'm Scoot.
I like Scoot
no,
Henderson with
hold on.
with Dame Lillard. I think that's gonna be a really good combo.
I think as things are now, I think Sar's in the most stable position out of all those guys. Because we'll probably talk about this later, but Dame's probably getting traded.
At some point, it seems.
Look, the worst thing that could have happened to Portland was the Hornets made the right decision and took Scoot, which they fucked up and didn't. But now we have to and I'm sure we'll talk about who was actually available and what was available for that pick. But I think in terms of a guy coming in to the most stable position where his role is so clear cut, it's Asar. Assuming Cade is healthy, all he has to do is play defense and just yam on people. That's it. Amen has to figure out how to deal with whatever's going on in Houston. And Brandon Miller, I'm sorry, but you're in Charlotte. It didn't matter who the fuck was going there. They suck. But I'm
well, they
happy he
got
went
with the new
now they got
ownership
ownership changing, and they have a lot of stuff going on in Charlotte.
I'm happy they had the jail Hornets. I think and I said this 6 months ago or whenever the pick came out. I said it would be the funniest thing to happen if they took Brandon Miller and he gets to play with Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
Irony.
Yeah. Like I said, I like Asar's game a lot. I like both Thompson twins' game a lot. They both need to work on their jump shot. That's obviously their key thing, but they're probably the 2 most athletic in the draft. But I thought Scoot is the player that's going to make the second biggest impact behind Wembanyama. So I think he's going to be the most successful just because of how, great of a guard he is. I'm just interested to see what happens with Portland if they stick with Dame. And then there's reports that he talked to the general manager today, but then his demands was he didn't want to go to a stack team or he doesn't want a stack team in Portland. It's just make up your damn mind.
Those
let's
NBA
be fucking
insiders.
obvious. The answer is still Orlando. It's still Orlando is still the best team, but he's going to go to Miami.
Yeah, he wants to be. It's clear cut. He wants to be in Miami. Just say, I want to go to Miami. I don't think any of us would be mad. Can he just make up his damn mind, please?
Yeah, it's either Miami or the Nets.
Just we understand both of them are on they're just going to fit a stalemate here on who doesn't want to look worse, and it's someone just pull the trigger, please. Just do it because it's just getting really frustrating because we know it's they don't want to both look bad. They don't want to piss off the fan base, but at the same time, it's now's the time if you're Portland to do it. You have Scoot, who are if you really hope for it, could be the next Damian Lillard. He could be an NBA top 75, whatever, top 100 all those years down the line. But again, he could be a top player in the league. He's that good. I think he's that good. He has all the talent in the world. Or you just keep him and you try him and Dame work out together and you get some other pieces around. But the decision has to be made.
They're also really tiny. They got really small guards.
Well, that too.
If you're not going to move Dame and you're not going to move Scoot, you're going to have to move Simon.
You have to move one of the guards. You definitely have to move Simon. You have to get something to get this build going or retool or whatever you want to call it. They definitely have to do something because they have a plethora of guards, but they're all small. They all have their issues, all that stuff. But like I said, to answer your question, Matt, I think the one that's going to be the most successful out of the other 4, I think it's Scoot. But I like Face's idea. Asar is probably to be the close second, I think, in terms of who could be successful.
Renelli, I want to know if you agree with me here as also someone who especially is versed in college ball. Do you think Brandon Miller take away the legal issues? Do you think he could be the one who could be the best one out of those four? The one guy who played in the NCAA?
So I would say yes, just in terms of intangibles and like his ability to like get to the rim and his versatility. But I just think that, especially in this league, you're a product of your environment. And if you don't have a good ownership team and you don't have a good roster to build around you and good coaching leadership, I just think that you're kind of doomed to fail right out the gate. I mean, when I watched that playoff run, when I watched that run in college, with Bama being the 1 seed and whatnot, I just don't particularly have a lot of faith that Nate Oates was the guy, and I feel like it's going to be kind of the same situation in the pros. And it's too bad because I think he's one hell of a talent.
Is Steve Clifford their coach again?
Steve Clifford's the coach for the isn't he the coach of the Hornets?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think he
yes.
still is. I think he still is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Clifford is the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
If you were to take all these guys in a vacuum, I think that like Brandon Miller would probably be the best, like in terms of total package outside of the number 1 pick. I just think that he just is doomed with his environment. I think all the like Detroit and all these other places, like, yeah, they have their issues as well, but they're not like voluntarily like hurting themselves.
Well, yeah, I agree. And you look at Houston, they have Udoka, who I know off the court stuff that all we don't have the full details of, but as a head coach, we know what he can do, right? He's coached some young talent.
Like that was the other thing. Boston was kind of taking shots at, like,
you wouldn't want to play with LaMelo Ball if you were.
Well, that's true. Like, I think if Brandon Miller's looking at it positively, if you're looking at it a fan, it's going to be a cool tandem to have LaMelo and Brandon Miller on the same team. I think it's going to work. I think it's going to be really cool as a 1-2 punch. But it's the same thing as the outside stuff, right? It's like we've seen distractions with like LaMelo before. We've seen other distractions, the whole Miles Bridges situation. If you bring Miles Bridges back, that's a whole other topic, and we're not going to spend time on it right now. But that's a whole other thing. It's just like there's a lot of outside stuff. Is Steve Clifford the right guy? I don't necessarily know. They're selling Michael Jordan's selling the team. It's like a whole bunch of changes.
I actually really like that. I really like their guard plan in Charlotte. Actually, I think they have a lot of Rozier. I like actually.
Yeah, like they have like the talent.
Brandon Miller. They could be a very good team in next year.
They have the talent to be solid. It's just like I don't know if they have the right people steering the ship. Like that's the thing. It's like in Houston, I could see it working because I think Udoka could potentially lead them and be a good coach for them.
Well,
same with Detroit.
Udoka has his own problems going on from when he had
my issues with Houston are more the players than
that too. I think you have to move on from Porter Jr. or something. You can't have all these.
And I don't know if Jalen Green can be a winner. Like you have to like play through Sengun because at least as a fulcrum, he's more consistent than anything else they've done. Yeah. And look, they might have fucked Jabari Smith too. Like I don't know what, but they got a lot of, like, he might be traded. If you could buy low on him, I would.
I'll take the chance. I'll buy low on Jabari. I mean, I thought his second half of the year, towards the end of last year, he was pretty solid. I think he was finally getting comfortable. But I agree with the Sengun thing. They need to run their offense through Sengun. But then if you look at, like I said, Detroit in this top 5, you have Monty coming in. He has a lot of young talent.
Detroit's ceiling is whether or not Cade stays healthy.
Exactly, and that too. I think it's really important on what happens with Cade and his injury history, or if he can stay healthy. It's got to run through Cade, but they have all these young talent coming in. I think half the roster is former lottery picks. If you look at it, I was seeing that the other day. It's like some crazy number. If you look at the Pistons
they have
roster,
7 centers and 5 guards.
That too. But it's like all like the outcasts, the Wiseman and Marvin Bagley,
the island of misfit toys.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like there's all this young talent. But they're all former castaway lottery picks. So it's like it's interesting. But yeah, just to wrap it up with the Brandon Miller thing, I was impressed when I met him in the rookie class. I know there's stuff off the court, but I have to say, meeting him, very nice kid, seems down to earth. So I hope everything works out with him and he stays out of trouble. I think you learned from his mistakes. But I think, as I said, I think Charlotte, they have the talent to be solid, but it all depends on if they're getting led correctly and developed correctly. And I think that's the huge question mark coming out of Charlotte, is like if they can be led in the right direction. Otherwise, it's just going to be like hero ball the whole time, and it's just going to be an absolute mess.
Yeah. And, this is your time to, turn it around. Brandon Miller, we'll see what happens. So
Also, they're in a good spot for like Charlotte because they're gonna have to pay LaMelo, but they're not gonna have to pay him like $150 million extra because he's not making any of the All NBA teams or any of that shit.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Yeah,
he was just hurt at the worst time. He's like going off, and then he just like he twists his ankle, and he's out for 30 games.
I don't know how much more proof there is that like LaMelo could be the guy on the team.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's
funny,
insane.
he's flashy.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
He's fun to watch. It's just he has to stay healthy. I think if he gets a full season in, I think people will be impressed with the numbers he can put up. But again, he always gets hurt at the worst times, which is another thing too. It's a random argument, but like all these guys getting ankle injuries, they all wear low tops. Can we just like have a thing where everyone wears mid or high tops going forward? Because I'm getting really frustrated with all these 6 foot like 5+ guys all wearing low tops, and then they slip on a shoe, and you wonder why their ankles are in 2 pieces at the end of it because they're wearing low tops. We need to like
what is Gordon Hayward wearing? He would know about ankle injuries.
Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy to me that these taller NBA players all feel comfortable wearing low tops. I'm like, just please. I'm 6'4". I stopped wearing low tops in middle school because I kept on twisting my ankle and being out forever. And I went to high tops, and I've been fine ever since. So NBA players, listen to me. Stop wearing low tops if you're like 6'5" and taller. Please, please. Especially you, LaMelo. It always happened with LaMelo. He slipped on his shoe at the 3-point line, and then he's out for like 2 months.
If there's anybody who would know about like shoe issues, it's I'm pretty sure. I think the general theory is that the big baller brand shoes like destroyed Lonzo's knees.
Yeah,
that's why he's like never playing basketball again.
Yeah,
like you would think he would be a little more conscious of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It's all a marketing ploy until you ruin your best asset.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, the same like Grant Hill. Grant Hill said if he had gone back, he would have worn different shoes.
Yeah.
Simple as that. It's all in the shoes. So let's just hit on a couple more draft things, then we'll move on to some of the player movement. So Alex Ranelio on this one, especially for someone again who soaks in a lot of college ball. What other draft prospects are you really interested to see? Is it Jordan Hawkins, your boy from UConn, go into the Pelicans? Is it people like Jamie Jaquez go into the Heat from a very successful UCLA career? Is it Cam Whitmore, who was drafted very low in the draft at 20? He is also going to the Rockets. Who are these other people who have stand out that we haven't mentioned already? And then feel free for everyone else to give who they are impressed as well.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I'm going to be a homer for Hawkins just because I like everything that he's built. Like he's got the character, he's got the intangibles, he's got the the off ball pursuit of the shot, and he just knows how. He's got a lot of Rayon in him in terms of the right circumstance and the best practices off ball. And I think that in New Orleans with that system and the team that they've built there in short order, I think that he's going to thrive almost immediately. I think that he was probably one of the most draft ready going into the draft. But I mean, like, again, it's all about fit. I think that like Lively from Duke, I think like with Thunder, with them having an open checkbook, I think that he could thrive. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for Keontae George with Utah because of how broad their spectrum with their wide open cap as well. So I just think and then all the guys that you've mentioned, like I think that there's a ton of potential towards the middle and bottom half of the first round. But my guy definitely would be Hawkins, especially like short-term success and just overall longevity.
And we always love a player who made it to
George
the
real
end.
quick. Like Keontae George, I want them to like put him everywhere. I want him to be incredibly visible for just the very blatant reason of like cynicism. So there was a group of dumb fucks who created a documentary called Died Suddenly. And it was basically how they tried to pretend that the COVID vaccine was just randomly killing people. And one of the clips from that was when Keontae George got sick and he collapsed on the court.
Are you talking about Keontae, isn't it Keontae Johnson from Florida? Are you talking about the same guy or Kansas State?
No, it's the kid who just got drafted.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking of another guy, but could name Keontae.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but, like,
Keontae
he's
George,
the,
who was
like,
picked at
in-
16.
Okay.
Yeah, it was him in this, and they're like, yeah, and nobody ever acknowledged like everybody in that documentary who they said is still well and alive, and like I think that just like on its face is something that needs to be recognized, especially like just making him a visible person, be like, hey, these people are insane, like just so somebody else can say it, like somebody like me can say it. That's as for like I cannot. This is my biggest gripe with a player who got drafted. I don't like the 11th pick. It should have been Grady Dick. I think
Jet Howard, who went to
like-
Orlando.
Yep.
I liked Anthony Black in Orlando. They have too many fucking guards and they all kind of suck. And they can't shoot. So why wouldn't you pick Grady Dick, who's a better shooter? Like that's my thing. Like
I agree.
I mean,
I just think that was probably the worst pick of the night. Like would be at least in the lottery, right? Like if you're not going to swing for that Frank, like that's got to be the worst one.
I'm gonna go actually
Yeah.
at one of the pick that I think is one of the best in the draft that I don't think anyone's talking about. Keontae Johnson from Florida. He's actually he was one of the best college players before he was the guy who came back from the heart where he passed out on the court. He was actually averaging 17 or 19, 18 a game for Florida and Kansas State. Recently, he just led them to Elite Eight, I believe. With
No, that's what I'm talking about. You're right.
Yeah, Keontae Johnson. Yeah, he's awesome. He got drafted in the second round by OKC. Actually, I think he's going to be an awesome player. Actually, I think with him, with Shaw, Gilchrist, and then if they get Holmgren, they're gonna have a really good team. Actually, they got him in the second round, the 50th pick. He might be the best player in the draft. Actually, if he can stay healthy and get cleared by the doctors with his heart problems, he's going to be an absolute stud. So I actually thought that was an absolutely great pick. And I was also shocked that guys like Drew Timme and Sanogo got undrafted. I saw the Bucks picked up Drew Timme. He was one of the best centers in the league, finalist for the Wooden Award at Gonzaga. Was truthfully a beast when he was in college. So just shocked that he went undrafted and the Bucks were able to snag him. That could be a very good selection. And
yeah, I don't understand how he
from
couldn't have been a
UConn.
backup for him. Like he's not going to be a star in the NBA, and I understand the game. Like he's not a great
Yeah.
shooter. He was like a good passer, and he was good at like he could anchor a second unit, type of thing.
Yeah,
the other
I was just shocked
is,
he went undrafted there. That was really surprising to me. And then Sanogo too from UConn. I was surprised he went undrafted as well.
the second round guy that like I'm very excited for is Imani Bates. Like
Monty Bates, yeah, from Cleveland. Yeah, he's
I
gonna be
think
good.
like assuming he can be like he's not going to be anything like he was hyped to be. Like that ship is gone. But there's no reason he couldn't be like a good NBA player. And he's a player that they kind of need, like a wing guy who can play defense and score, because they don't really have like a combo type. So like as a second round flyer, fuck it. Like that's a good pick.
Yeah, I was with you on that with Imani Bates. A little bit of maybe his off the court issues, but if he can get those settled, he's definitely got the talent to play in the NBA.
Also,
without
like
question.
he kind of sucked in Eastern wherever he was. Like he
No, he
wasn't
was averaging
great.
18 a game at Eastern Michigan. He was actually pretty good at Eastern Michigan. He had good numbers.
I think people thought for that. But I agree with the Jet Howard thing that the Faces brought up. I thought that was the first head scratcher of the night, in my opinion. I think he's going to be a solid player, but I think that the Magic could have gone a different direction, especially potentially getting like Grady Dick, who I was impressed with, not only because of his suit game at the draft, but just as a person, he's really down to earth. I guess
He had the best suit, right?
he did.
Like,
Oh my God, his shoe was crazy.
Him and Scoot Henderson are my top two looks of the night. easily. But it was definitely Grady led the way. My pick that I really liked a lot was Houston. What we talked about briefly was Cam Whitmore at 20. I think that was a really good value pick for Houston. I know, Matt, you brought it up. I just really like everything. I was surprised he fell to 20. I thought he was going to be top 10 for sure. So, Houston got really good value there. Super athletic. That for my second round selection, I think Minnesota shockingly did very well on landing Leonard Miller from the G League Ignite. Same thing. I thought he could have been a lottery to low end first round pick. They got him at 33. He has a different kind of style. It's kind of weird, but he's a big dude. Definitely had mortar. He could, work really well, I think, on that team. So those are my two, I think, from the first round and the second round that I really like. Like I said, Cam Whitmore to Houston, I think is going to work out. I know Houston's kind of weird, but I just like Cam Whitmore's game. I think he kind of works. He's at everything there. And like I said, Leonard Miller, I think with Minnesota, I think you give him some time to develop a little bit. I think him and Anthony Edwards together can be a really fun kind of duo.
Yep. And
Yeah,
I
when
think
the Spurs traded that pick, I stopped watching.
Well, yeah,
Honestly.
that too. Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna watch till 33 because I'm not going to stay until 44. But then they traded. I'm like, fuck it.
Does happen.
And people said that this was a very talented draft. Even if the presentation was a little boring, people really expect the 2023 class to do something. Hopefully it's more of that, closer to an 04 draft class instead of a 2000 draft class, and let us see where everything lies. Now let's focus on
There's
some
no way
players.
it's a 2000 draft class. Like that shit is at least Victor and Scoot are going to make an all-star team at the very least.
At the least. You're going to have at least
Like,
two, you would hope.
Yeah.
If there's more, then it's going to get talked about as like in terms of greatest classes
Yeah.
of all time.
I also think Dallas did very well in this draft. Like,
yeah, I think Dallas did well too.
What do
They
you-
were smart.
What do you guys think about the Nets getting 2 picks back to back?
I have no idea who the fuck they took. Like, I just don't know like how good those guys are in comparison to anything
I
else.
completely blanked on
Oh,
them.
Noah Clowney and Derek Whitehead.
I actually hear.
I remember hearing Whitehead's
Derek
name, but
Whitehead?
just-
Derek could be really solid though. He has the potential to be solid. I'm just trying to think. Who was their other pick? It was
Clowney.
Whitehead and
Noah
Clowney.
Clowney.
Yeah. I mean both I think Derek is the better of the two, but yeah, I don't know. We have to see. Late first round picks usually take a few years to develop. That's what I tell everyone. Give it like 2 or 3 years, and we can talk to see how they pan out.
And also, they're a team in kind of flux that
Yeah.
we're not entirely sure who's going to be on the team in a couple years anyway. Like,
That too.
they may not be on the team in 2 weeks when they traded for Dame. Like
Possibly.
you don't know.
Yeah.
So it is a little hard. Although they've done pretty well with their late round picks. They had Jared
Yeah.
Allen, who was a late round pick. They had what's his face,
Nick
Claxton,
Claxton.
Cam Thomas.
Yeah.
Were good. So they've done
They've
relatively
done well. They know
Yeah,
how
you
to
should
develop
trust
talent.
Sean Marks for the most
They know,
part.
they know how to develop.
Of course, you can trust Sean Marks. Well, hold on. Like, yes,
trust him to
and no.
draft.
Like, there was no reason for him to trade Jared Allen.
That
Like,
too.
that was not
They immediately regretted that decision right after they made that trade. But that's another story for another day.
Know what happens. And the Mets lose. The Mets lost quickly. The Brewers were 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position, and they still won.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I can't watch
Jesus
that.
Christ.
I'm happy that YouTube TV is losing S and Y. Supposedly, according to this guy at the bottom of my
Lost
screen.
16 of
They're
their
gonna
last
lose them
21.
on July
They're,
1st. So maybe I'm better off just not having
Boy.
it on YouTube TV.
Well, they're entering must end the season Mets. That's what they're entering.
What a joke. So back to basketball. So let us talk about the players who have been drafted and have kicked off a summer of lots of movement. At first, when we saw, we were talking in February and March. Oh, this who cares about this free agent class? But now things. But now things have definitely been moving. Lots of trades have taken place. And I think we're about to get a good summer for us all to enjoy. So let's talk about some of the moves that have been made already. Why don't we talk about one of the more interesting ones? And all right here. Bradley Beal, guys.
Oh my God, that deal! They're gonna give up 150 points a game. That they have 3 guys who can score in the rest of their team. They have no depth. They have no guys. I'm sorry, none of those 3 guys, Booker, Durant, or Beal, really plays any defense.
Booker's gotten better at defense.
Yeah,
I
but
have to
they're
admit.
not
Durant
they're not
anchored the Warriors for some time.
they're not
Yeah.
like defensive players like those 3. They're gonna give up 150. They're gonna give up so many points. I mean, they
do
better
the
score
depth.
140 a game if they're gonna win games. Because
They-
they have those 3
they-
players, no one
yeah.
else after that.
They definitely need depth, and which is why it's weird that the reports. I'm fine with the deal. I think
Yeah, and let me
They
just
didn't
say
have to do
really
it
quick
much. Yeah,
the
you can
deal.
say that.
It's a
Break
good
them deal.
it's a
Yeah.
good big 3, but I mean, teams have
Is
tried
it though?
Just for people to know the
pretty good, it's
deal, the
pretty good.
Wizards traded Beal along with Jordan Goodwin and Isaiah Todd to the Phoenix Suns for a package that included 4 first-round pick swaps, 6 second-round swaps, Landry Shamet and Chris Paul. We will focus on Chris Paul to the Warriors a little later on, but on this with Bradley Beal to the Suns, I'm seeing people feeling, is this another example of a big three being made, hyping people up, but then being disappointing? Because I mentioned how, is the formula of going to get three superstars going to be worth it? We saw the Heat make a push, and even the Nuggets, they don't have a big three, and they're the champions. But the Suns are going to do it again. Because why? Yeah. Whether it's just to if they just want to do it for ticket sales, if they just want to if they want to just go crazy in the marketing department, you can definitely accomplish that. But I definitely want to hear on what I'm hearing about how if this is just going to be good basketball for them.
The thing I'm confused about is the news that they're planning on keeping him. I have no idea now what this luxury tax faces has more of an idea on this, but I don't know how you can keep 4 near max guys on the books. You can't. They're
over the cap. They're gonna be over the cap. That's why they're gonna
sign. What is Ishibah have to pay a bunch of penalties? Really a crazy amount?
So the way that works is you have to be over the cap for multiple years.
Okay.
So if they're over the second apron, they can't use their mid-level. They can't trade picks more than 7 years out, which don't matter because as of right now, the Suns do not have a draft pick in the first or second round till 2031.
Yeah.
They can't get buyout guys.
Supposedly, I'm hearing they want to facilitate a deal with the Sixers and the Mavs. Supposedly.
Yeah, we can talk about that too. But the problem I have with this is Beal doesn't solve any of their problems.
No.
And granted, the Wizards were kind of fucked by giving him a no trade clause. So they really couldn't send him to that many places. So they got all those picks, which look similar to having the Nets having the 2029 Mavs pick. Those picks in 2027, 2028-ish range for the Suns are really good because this team does not have a 7-year window. They have maybe a 3-year window.
Yeah.
So they don't have the type of distance, and they can't afford anybody. The idea is, we're gonna flip Ayton into other pieces and then figure it out. They can re-sign a couple other guys Landell and I think Torrey Craig, but you don't have a wing that's going to defend anybody. You don't have a backup. You don't have a point guard, period. I guess campaign maybe, but they don't have any depth. Their issue before was depth. Adding Bradley. So if you take this and you say, okay, we put Bradley Beal in Chris Paul's spot, do we beat this Nuggets team? And the answer is no.
No.
It's cool that you got Bradley Beal, but you can't. He's not a flippable asset. You can't flip Bradley Beal in 2 years because he still has no trade clause, and that's just how it's working like that. And then Bradley Beal, is not that guy. Okay, what are we hoping for him to stand in the corner? He's an okay ball handler. He's gonna stand in the corner, shoot threes. You're paying $250 million for it's Bradley Beal, but it's more of a name than any. He's never won anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a weird fit. I think it'll work just because of Booker and Durant and him, and they're all gonna get theirs. They're all gonna score 20 plus a night and all that stuff. It's just weird, like I said before, that they're getting reports that they're keeping Ayton, and I don't know how you're gonna bother to do that. I would flip Ayton right now and get as many player assets as you could possibly can to get this depth of this team. Unless they just add a bunch of old guys, and that we saw what the Lakers did right after the bubble, getting all the old guys, and that didn't work out. So I don't see how
the question comes to who's gonna trade for Ayton? What is the
Mavs? I'm hearing the Mavs.
I would think Dallas would be interested.
Okay, so you're gonna get what? Tim Hardaway Jr. and a couple of their big men. I don't think you're getting Josh Green.
No,
I'm kidding.
I would think they would get you just have to get
and if I'm Dallas,
sort of depth.
I don't think I'd make the trade for Ayton. You have Derek Lively, who you could arguably do most of what he does
cheaper. Yeah.
Can you sign it? You can't sign and trade Christian Wood because you can't trade him till January.
Yeah.
So I think Ayton's the wrong move for Dallas. So where
is Indiana go after him? Would Indiana, although like would they potentially?
I wouldn't go with it.
Miles Turner.
I think
and
Charlotte.
them?
Charlotte, could you do
Charlotte.
Ayton for I don't fucking know, Kai Jones and
James Bouknight.
well,
Who knows?
I think you'd have to throw. You'd probably be like Gordon Hayward and
There'd be
Blake
contracts and
Griffin.
other things to match. Yeah.
I mean, I would still take a flyer on Kai Jones if like they were offering it because you have no depth. So if you could get a young cheap asset, you got to use that young cheap asset. Like, but this was like it's a trade in like, oh, we got Bradley Beal and now we're a big three. But like the problem with that is you needed players that complement each other, and they don't. Like part of the reason Miami was so successful is they complemented each other. Part of the reason Golden State was so successful is they complemented. The reason the Spurs are the winningest trio in history is they complemented each other. Like these players, they just don't. And now, like this is probably the most I just bought a team and I want to win now ever. Like this is in
Maddie's
all
not right
likelihood
there.
in the next CBA there is going to be a Matt Ishbia rule in the same way that
Like the Steve Cohen rule in baseball.
or the Steppen rule that you can't trade a pick every other the back-to-back years.
Yeah.
You can do pick swaps, which is essentially the same thing, but like we're probably going to see a rule like that.
Well, maybe
Because of this.
Yeah, I mean, this whole like idea of buying, your championship with the big three. Like, I don't even think that that's even plausible with this set of three, because I think the best case scenario you can make, kind of like what you guys alluded to, is that he's kind of just, getting that Chris Paul contract off the books was like the best case in exchange for getting Beal in there, but he serves the same purpose that
His contract is so terrible. They're going to be paying
It's
Beal
really bad.
like $60 million in 2027 or some shit.
Yeah,
like Bradley
It's
Beal is
really
not
bad.
worth like even half of.
He's not worth it. I'm just making the case versus Chris Paul, as the alternative. But
that's like the same thing that that's like the same thing that Isaiah Thomas did when he was with the Knicks, where he said, look, when you have an expiring contract, it's an asset. But the problem is he would trade that asset for a shittier asset. And that's what they did here.
Yeah, but they're also a year window as well.
But their window didn't change. It
No,
just
I know
fucked up their future.
Yeah. I think they have a window for sure, but they
just a 1 year window.
Well, no, I think it's like 2 or 3 years at most. But
It depends on how healthy Durant is. Like if KD starts breaking
and
down,
it's also Beal, because Beal has his injury history too. I think it's really those two, but it's like the same thing is like Beal, like they all kind of play in the same space, which is why I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to work, because they're all kind of like decent mid-range guys, and Beal can attack, but like at the same time, Booker can attack. It's all kind of weird. So that's what does this move make them compete with the Nuggets? To me, no. Like I really don't see them. I think they're going to have their struggles and their deficiencies, and the Nuggets are going to use it and expose them. And I think a lot of teams are.
I mean, if you're asking me who actually going back to DeAndre Ayton, I think the Grizzlies could be in play for him actually.
Yeah.
I could see that too. But who
I don't.
I do with Adams and a couple other things, right?
What about Portland?
Yeah, Portland, but like.
But would that make Dame happy? Like,
yeah,
is that the move that keeps him happy?
To give up. You could if you're trading with Portland, you're taking Nurkic back, and they don't want Nurkic.
They don't want,
and they're gonna want what? Like
they probably want Simons, or do you think they want Simons or?
They would probably Simons would have to be like the key of it, and then I don't even know who else they have. Like they're not going to give up Sharp. They're not going to get like Sharp and Sharp, Dame, and what's his face and Scoot are off limits for like an Ayton trade. He's not worth that. Yeah. Like,
well, I think if you want to ship Nurkic out of town, like that would be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, but that's assuming that like.
And would they also want to trade to the Western Conference? That's another thing too. Like,
I don't care. I don't think Ayton's enough of a threat that it bothers them. I think they just need as many assets, and I don't think that they have any assets. Like especially because for Portland, we got to go big for Dame. And now that we're talking about it, it's like, okay, well, Siakam's not going anywhere. You're not going to get Zion this year. I don't know. Maybe you could have gotten Brandon Ingram. You're not getting Paul George. Like, who is left?
Yeah.
Like who realistically is Like, this is the problem that Dame needs to understand is there's nobody out there who's going to immediately change this team. Like, could you get Cat? Could you flip Cat? Could you get like for Scoot and Nurkic and Simons? If I'm fucking Minnesota, I'm saying yes. Like, if I could turn Cat into Scoot and then he's on a similar timeline to Anthony Edwards, and we could, wait out a couple years for the Gobert disaster, like, that would be a good trade for them.
Yeah. Because they just need to reshuffle. They're not necessarily dead in the water, Minnesota. They just need to move that timeline up.
Well, they need to not have done the Gobert trade.
Of course.
Too. Yeah.
Well, they were going like the old school Twin Towers approach. It was not a good idea.
As I mentioned,
they had an interesting, good team. Like, Anthony Edwards is fucking awesome.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards is pretty good. I'll give you Anthony Edwards.
And he's exciting too.
Yeah, I think him and Scoot would be like. Is that arguably like the most athletic backcourt we've ever seen? Him if he played with Scoot.
I think about it. It's a mouthful.
Because Scoot is basically they're saying he's like a cross between baby Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook, and we've already know how fucking athletic Anthony Edwards is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously the issue with that team is they can't shoot for dick. Like, if you trade Cat, like they cannot shoot at all.
Yeah, Nas
yeah.
Reed. She could space the floor a little bit.
And Mike Conley can.
As I mentioned with that deal, Chris Paul went to the Wizards, and then the Warriors traded with the Wizards. Jordan Peele goes to Washington. CP3 goes to Golden State. Interesting stuff there. First with CP3. Is he going to be playing off the bench? Is he going to do we see him making any impact with the Warriors? Can he be the key to having them win their 5th championship in the Steph Curry era?
No. They're still not
just going to be there.
I think it's a really interesting thing. And I don't think he's better than Nuggets. Look, Chris Paul's gonna have to change. Like, he has to be the one to shift because this team's already proven that they can do it, and Chris Paul's never done it. So they're gonna have to figure out how to reorient him. But I mean, yeah, I think it would certainly extend his career and probably Steph's, because they would be able to get more time off. The question is, he doesn't change the needle in, how are you going to deal with Denver? And it's like, oh, they got Chris Paul, but Chris Paul hasn't been Chris Paul in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Ever since that series in Houston,
this is more about getting under the tax. You traded Jordan Poole at a longer deal. Chris Paul's expiring. They can figure it out next year. They have to re-sign Draymond. They have to re-sign Clay. There's a Wiggins extension coming up. They're already the cap was designed to fuck over Golden State. So they're the ones who they're trying to figure it out. And
that's why they have a new GM, didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, well, they're still going to have to, because they're going to have to I don't know if we're talking about where free agents should go. If Draymond doesn't come back.
Oh yeah, we have a segment for that, so don't worry.
Okay. So I'll talk about that. But I have to assume that Draymond and Clay still think they're getting somewhere in the 30 to 40 million a year deal.
Yeah, right.
And you just can't legacy deals like that just fuck your team. Clay is not worth that.
No.
I wonder if he understands that. If we're gonna go back to the 80s and we had for the Celtics in that dynasty, they acquire a aging but Hall of Fame star, Bill Walton. He's on the bench for Robert Parrish, and so if that's the center version of having 2 Hall of Fame players who still have something left to contribute to a championship team, and Robert Parrish and Bill Walton, is this the guard version of Steph and Chris Paul?
Well, it's like Gary Payton going to the Lakers. Same thing.
Yeah.
They didn't win a championship.
I know, but
I mean, Sure, they
Well,
they
we'll
made
talk
a
about
run.
Well, Gary Payton.
They made the finals that year.
Gary Payne.
Yeah.
Gary Payne finally won with Miami,
He
right?
won Miami, yeah.
Yeah,
Miami.
with
So
Miami.
was old man Jason Williams on that team too? Or was Jason? Who was on that? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
Jason Williams was on that
Was
team.
on
Yeah.
team too. Yeah, it was like such a bizarre
Alonzo
team.
Moore.
Looking back at it, yeah, that team is like interesting.
Talk
to
about
look
the
at.
06.
Yeah, the 06
Heat.
Miami Heat. They're just like a very bizarre team. Other than obviously Wade and Shaq, when you look at some of the other people and you're like, wait, they were on the 06 Miami Heat? I don't remember that. But yeah, I mean, that's a good comparison, Matt, I would think. I mean, it could be, but they have to win first off. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they have, if they have sets where they have Paul and Curry on the court at the same time. I think they're going to have that. It's not going to be the death lineup of old when they went small ball and they're just running people in the ground and chucking up threes and doing all that. But I think Chris Paul, hopefully, he is a good leader. I hope he realizes at the point of his career that him coming off the bench is actually going to be more beneficial to his career and the team, with him logging less minutes and them kind of controlling it, because we know come playoff time, every single year for the past like 4 years, he somehow pulls something in his leg at the most inconvenient time possible. So you put the less miles on him, I think it's going to be beneficial. I know some people are kind of saying, is his ego going to get in the way? I don't think so. We've seen this once before when he got traded to OKC, and that was a very young team, and he took them under their wing, and it wasn't just about him. It was about developing the team and winning. And that team had like a 4% chance to make the postseason. The next, they did, and they had a very successful year. And I think you can see the trajectory of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander directly because Chris Paul was his mentor for that year. So I think he comes into a great situation. I don't think his ego's getting away. I think he's a really good leader. He's a really good locker room guy. And I know we're going to talk the Wizards side in a second, and them getting Jordan Poole, because I really like that idea. But I think this is going to be beneficial for Chris Paul. I'm interested to see, like I said, the sets they run. And that second unit, they have a lot of young talent that could potentially, play. I think Chris Paul and Jonathan Kuminga together could be really kind of fun to watch, and some of the young talent there. So I think it's a good pickup for Golden State. They're not going to be the same team. They are getting older. I don't think they're going to run people into the ground anymore, but I think it's going to be cool to see Chris have the typical Warriors, kind of offense where they do run around with Curry and Clay and all of them around the court, but then kind of slow things down with Chris Paul and kind of have teams confused on what's really going to be shown. Again, having a team with two different looks offensively is going to be interesting.
I agree. And you know who was on that 2006 Miami Heat team?
Shaquille
Haslam.
Oh,
Who played just a few weeks ago in the finals.
Congratulations on a great career, Udonis. Congratulations.
He did have a great career. He played like 20 years, Udonis.
Oldest player to play in the finals.
Okay,
there we
but
go.
like the last six,
he was.
I think he played like 10 more NBA minutes than we did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I mean, the guy lasted, 20 years.
Congratulations to him. I mean, crazy.
They're gonna retire his number. They're gonna retire his number.
Did he set? He didn't set the record for longest tenure with a team, though, right?
He was with one team for 20 years.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade has said Udonis Haslem had the greatest career in Miami Heat history. That's what Dwayne Wade said. Dwayne Wade said it. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, he played as early as 2003.
Dirk holds the record, by the way. He had 21 seasons as a member of the Mavs. Udonis and Kobe are tied at 20 with their team, obviously, Lakers and the Heat.
Timmy.
Duncan is 18. Tied for fourth. He had 19 years.
Okay.
Yeah, because
he's tied with Stockton.
Okay.
Wow. It is pretty insane. So, yes, focusing on Jordan Poole to the Wizards. Is he going to start a new era in Washington?
Oh, boy.
This is the only time I've ever agreed with a Ben Shapiro tweet, was when he retweeted somebody copying Joe Biden saying 100 million shots in 100 days in Washington. That's it. Like, Jordan Poole is going to average probably north of 25 points for the year. There's someone's going to say, oh, he's in line for sixth man to the for most improved and all-star game. That team is going to win like 12 games. They're going to suck. They're like,
you know what?
They're going to be really bad.
You know what? There's a take, and I'm going to ask everyone.
Really bad.
I'm going to ask this question because I've seen this take. I've talked to a coworker about this take. He's a big Wizards fan, and then I've seen this take again pop up on Twitter. Fan. It's unfortunate. There's a take going around. Do you think Jordan Poole could lead the league in scoring next season. Because, again, think about the amount of shots. It's not going to be efficient at all, but he's going to have a shitload of shots. So he could potentially
He has to average
lead the league in scoring.
probably 34 a game, something like that.
He's probably going to have to be north of 30 a game.
Right. So was Shea the leader? Joel Embiid was the leader in scoring this year, right? I think he averaged
I
like
believe
31.
so. Scoring leader. Look up right now.
I mean, he's going to lead the league in shot attempts because
at least
like there's nobody else on that team. Like Tyus Jones is not a high volume guy. Monte Morris is not a high volume guy. Daniel Gafford's not a high volume guy. Kubali, who they just drafted, is not going to be a high volume guy. They should, just because you ain't got anything to play. Danny Avita's not a high volume guy. Kyle Kuzma's not coming back. Yeah. I cannot name another single player on that team. But like, yeah, they have. There's no reason that he's not going to average like at least 25 a game. He'll probably average it on like 12% shooting. But like the first month, he'll have some games where he goes off for like 45 or something.
They're going to win about 20 games next year. The Wizards.
I think that's too high. I think this team may threaten that Bobcats team as one of the worst teams of all time. There is like
I don't think they're going to be
9 games.
I don't think they're going to be that.
I cannot. Like, there's like 4 actual NBA players on that team, and 3 of them are point guards.
Yeah, and I think Danilo Gallinari may be starting as like one of their strippers. That's pretty bad, actually.
Okay, Gallo is getting waived or traded.
He's getting waived or bought out. There's no way he's on that team.
Yeah, Gallo's not playing a minute for that fucking team.
No.
Jordan Poole stuff. How about that?
The only way they win more games is when they flip Monte Morris to Tyus Jones to the Celtics. And then like they get, because that's what the Celtics need. But we'll talk about that.
They're getting ready to tank the Wizards.
If they bring back Kuzma, they could get a few extra.
They're not bringing back Kuzma. That would be such a fucking mistake. I think this ownership is smart enough to not bring back Kuzma. Also, like they missed the year because my understanding is this next draft class is kind of dog shit.
Yeah, so like they that's the big thing with the takeaway of the Wizards is that they waited a year too long to do this.
I mean, it's not like they didn't like.
They got Landry Shamet. He's going to save the.
Oh, Landry Shamet. Okay, so if they end up in a game 7, then they're going to lose that. Like,
they're not. If they fight for the play, they're not fighting for the play-in. But they should have not fought for the play-in last year. They got over-egregious because they had the really hot start, and then they had their typical Wizard year with a second half absolute collapse when they should have just blew it all up and gone after Wemby or a top 5 pick, and they waited too long to now blow it up on a weak draft class next year. There's some talent there. There's definitely some talent, but it's not as stacked of a talent as this class.
They're going to be the team that with like the 6th pick that takes Bronny so that they can get LeBron for a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I doubt LeBron.
That's what they're on. They're on Bronny.
I doubt Bronny signs with LeBron goes to Washington, even if Bronny drafted there.
Cursed franchise. All right. Let's talk about what did happen regarding the Wizards. The Wizards had Kristaps Porzingis. They traded him to the Boston Celtics as part of a 3-team deal that also sends Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies. As mentioned, Tyus Jones is going to Washington, and lots of picks movement there. But the big thing to note here, one, Kristaps Porzingis is going to the Celtics. Marcus Smart is going to Memphis. Here's the thing there. I really hear a lot of Boston fans are very, very upset about this move, that Marcus Smart, a huge fan favorite in Boston, is leaving to go to Memphis. They get Kristaps, who we've known has had many off-court issues, has had many on-court issues. He's on his 4th team already. I think Kristaps is going to be a major bust in Boston, and they're going to highly regret losing out on Marcus Smart.
I don't understand how the Wizards and the Celtics lost this trade. How did the Wizards, the team that's rebuilding, not get any of the picks?
No clue. That was my thing. I was like, how do you not get at least like a late first?
You don't think the Celtics are a better team offensively now than they were? Like, I think they're the best team in the East right now with Porzingis actually.
Okay, but like the Celtics' issues is they don't have somebody to organize their offense.
Yeah.
in the game, and they just lost their best guy at doing
The
that.
problem with getting rid of Marcus Smart is Marcus Smart's like the glue guy. Like once you get rid of Marcus Smart, like it's very hard. Like he's just one of those guys. Like him and Draymond are
Well,
like
so
two guys
there's a
that-
lot because I was
glue guys.
listening to the Bill when he was talking to his dad about this. Like apparently Marcus was having a lot of issues with the coach,
Missoula,
like just
yeah.
doing like butting heads with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason they traded him. And like obviously Derek White is really good. So putting more Derek White minutes is going to help them. But like you still don't like it didn't solve your problem. Like if your thing is like, oh, he's insurance for when Horford or Rob go down. Porzingis is not, a model of consistency.
Yeah, he's not a beacon of
like,
health either. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's interesting that maybe he'll diversify their game. Like maybe they'll do more post-ups with him. But their issue is their offense was like shoot a fuck ton of threes. And he's obviously gonna help shoot a fuck ton of threes. And he'll stabilize their defense, I guess, a little bit.
But they're already a tall and long team. And again, they haven't corrected their point guard issues with operating the offense. I feel like more of the butthurt sentiment in Boston is just the fact that they lost a guy that they like was homegrown and drafted, and like they've had him.
They lost their Draymond pretty much. I know
pretty
Payne
much, yeah.
mentioned it, but they lost their Draymond.
They lost their Draymond, and the reality is, and this is a hot take, but their bigger problems is Jaylen Brown. But not saying that they're even comparable pieces in terms of their value added, but I think that their bigger issues is getting rid of that 1A, 1B comparison between him and Tatum and just understanding, okay, this is as far as we can go with these two guys together, and how long are we going to keep this train running until we realize what our actual issues are.
Yeah, but they're willing to pay Jaylen Brown $300 million, and I think
That's a fucking mistake.
I think they're going to regret that in like a few years when this all
I
blows
agree with
up.
that.
And all you guys, I love Jaylen. I love both of them. Even though I'm a Knicks fan,
They had a really successful
they did,
run.
and
But
I think in a year from now, we're not all going to sit here and be surprised when Jaylen Brown says he wants out. Like, are we all going to sit here and be shocked when he's like,
Absolutely.
I want to be gone in 2 years after he signed a Superman?
They're going to price themselves. They're going to lose Grant Williams just because they can't afford to pay it.
Exactly.
Like the thing that like it's like cool. Okay, you got those first round picks, and I think maybe they flipped one of them for like Marcus Sasser or something. But like, why not just take one less of the pick and get like Tyus Jones instead? Like,
yeah.
There was a way for this trade to happen where all the teams did well. But right now, only Memphis did well because, like, Marcus Smart is like the perfect guy for this.
Yeah,
he's better than Dylan Brooks in every level. He's gonna hopefully like smack jaw some sense into jaw, but he's like an adult in the room that they kind of need. He's like the perfect guy that they can throw out there for 25 games to like settle the field and do shit. But he's, I think that was like if you were gonna pick a guy who's like a Memphis guy, it would have been Marcus Smart. Like this was a good trade for Memphis. They made a good trade.
Yeah.
Like they're the only team that did well in this trade, which is fucking unbelievable. And I think it was just like they wanted Porzingis so bad, and then the other one fell apart because apparently Malcolm Brogdon's made out of paper mache that like they got nothing else.
I do like the Wizards getting Tyus, but the only reason why I like them getting Tyus is the same thing kind of with Jordan Poole if they really wanted to do this, is that Tyus is arguably one of the better backups in the league, guards. So in like a year or two, they can technically flip him for more assets before they have to.
Yeah, but you already have Monte Morris. They're basically the same player.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I think Tyus was better than Monte Morris. But I'm just saying the Wizards can get assets for Tyus down the line. I mean, yeah, they probably could have gotten more.
Again, that brings me to the point like we talked about earlier. Like, why didn't you just flip him for the first round pick?
Exactly, and I agree with that. Like, I don't know why some teams see it that way. Instead of just getting the picks, they just be like, "Oh, we can get this guy, see how he is.
Like
Can we build around him?
Get the other pick."
Yeah, but it's the same thing. It's like, oh, but I feel like a lot of teams are like, oh, let's see what this guy is. Maybe he's a building block. But if not, then oh yeah, we could still flip him for something. And I'm like, just get the draft capital, especially if you're in a rebuild. Just look what OKC did. They didn't care. They just wanted picks. We'll give you the asset. We don't need some building. Just give us it. We don't care.
Because it worked so many times beforehand.
Yeah. But OKC's going to be looking solid now because they just took the pick instead of just being like, oh, yeah, no, we'll take this 22-year-old to see if we can turn around. Like, no, just give us the freaking second round or first round pick that we want.
And the thing with Memphis too is like Marcus Smart can deal with Jamal Murray. Like they have the ability. I feel like he has a lot of the same things that Dylan Brooks offers, but just more mature, more stabilized in the locker room. So I feel like they're gonna make a move to try to like get his value off the books as well very soon as well.
I agree. I like Marcus Smart to Memphis for plenty of reasons. Obviously, you get a mature veteran, you get a good leader. But I think in terms of Western Conference, where there's a lot of great guard play, you need a scrappy defensive guard. And yeah, did he take a little step back defensively this year? Sure. But we all know how good of a defender Marcus Smart is. And I think each night he brings it. And again, with all those guards in the Western Conference, it's a very smart move.
Yeah, no, with Jaren Jackson and Marcus Smart, you're going to be able to defend pretty much any – like, they're going to be able to defend KD, Booker, and Beal, like that big three. So they have two of the recent defensive player of the year. Did Marcus Smart win one? Like, I think I want to say 2 years ago.
He won it. Marcus Smart won it technically last year.
Yeah, and then Jaren Jackson won it this year, right? So they've that's two defensive player of the year.
It should have been Brook Lopez, but we give it to Jaren Jackson.
So they're gonna be able to defend any team. And then imagine once they get Ja back after 25 games, wow, they could be the best team in the West potentially. If they're able to.
Denver.
Start.
Even if they lose Bruce Brown, I still have Denver is going to be the best team in the West.
Denver's still the best.
They're going to find
Memphis,
some random Bruce Brown.
You can say what you want. Memphis did win 51 games this year. Like they did.
I'm not disagreeing you do that.
And you add Smart to that team, like.
But I think Denver is still the team. Obviously, they just won the championship. But I think
Denver right now is the team to beat. I'm just saying that.
Memphis could easily be a top 3 team in the West if everything goes well and they can stay afloat while Ja's gone. But now without Tyus Jones,
also like until they prove they can actually do it. They're like what, the 4th best team in the West?
They should be. Even without Ja right now. They play well without Ja most of the time, so I wouldn't be surprised if that continues this year. They have the talent to be a top 5 team in the West. And then you add Ja back to it, and you can climb even higher. They should be like 5th or 6th seed before Ja comes back. That's I think your benchmark. Like you have to be somewhere around there. You can't just have it fall off the rails without Ja there. I know you brought Marcus Smart.
And they're still looking to do another move. Like they could still
they're definitely going to still do moves. They still need a wing defender. I don't know who they're going to bring, but they definitely still need some wing defense.
Like they're not getting OG, but they're like, I don't know, maybe they signed Jaren Grant.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can.
They should be. I don't know what their cap situation.
Their books are probably pretty good.
Yeah.
One more trade to talk about before we just hit on some potential free agency moves. This deal was made today. The Hawks are finalized a deal to send John Collins to Utah for Rudy Gay and a 2nd-round pick. You were very critical on the group chat faces of this deal. Why don't you explain what bothers you about it?
It was a fucking terrible deal. Obviously John Collins was been in the rumors for a long time, and he wasn't great this year. I think he got hurt and fucked up his shooting. But Atlanta did this to get off his books because they were trying to trade either him or DeAndre Hunter to get a better, cleaner books because they're like the most mediocre team, and they're probably gonna have to trade DeJounte. But they didn't get dick for him. They got nothing. I don't know if they even keep Rudy Gay. And you got a 2nd rounder. How did you not get at least a 1st rounder? And then for the Utah's part, obviously they're just doing this to rehabilitate him to flip him. But all they have is there's the Kevin O'Connor tweet where it's Lauri Markkanen. They can do a lineup of all 7-footers, Lauri Markkanen, Taylor Hendricks, John Collins,
Walker
Kessler, and Kelly Olynyk. What are you doing with this pick? You just have it's literally just to flip him later. I mean, obviously they'll get more for him than what they gave up, but I don't understand how they could have gotten more.
I agree because that's the thing that bothers me most about this is because we've heard John Collins' name for the last 3 years in trade rumors, and we've heard all of Atlanta's demands was that they need at least 2 first-round picks. They need a first-round pick. They need this. They need that. They need that. And then at the end of the day, they flip him for Rudy Gay in a second-round pick. That does nothing for you. It's a clear salary dump move, but it's stupid because everyone looks back, and now you're like, oh, you have your Hawk fan expectations of, oh, they're demanding at least multiple firsts, or they're demanding at least a first.
They have a
whatever the case
tweet
may be. Yeah,
with John Collins standing next to KD, going a former MVP and a future MVP, and you traded that guy for Rudy Gay in a
second round pick. Like, that's the thing that bothers me most about this. It's like, I like it kind of for Utah because, like Faces says, you can have him kind of a second. You can rehabilitate him. You can flip him for way more than you gave up. Like, it's a smart move for Utah to do this. I agree with what they did. But from the Atlanta side, it's extreme. It looks just so bad on them because you just heard from them in the last 3 years. They had all these demands for John Collins, and then you just dump them just to drop them off because you want them off your books. And you're better off keeping them at that point. And because unless they have some announcement they're going to make in the next few days on some other major move or something like that, they're going to look really dumb going into the season if it's just going to be Trae Young and DeJounte and they didn't get anything else to bring in to replace John Collins. That's the thing that bothers me most. So they pretty much dropped them off for nothing, but without doing anything. And who knows? Maybe a few weeks from now, there's some major announcement the Hawks land someone. Who knows? But it just looks really bad, especially after reports from the past year or couple months that they wanted these
trade exception for this too.
They did.
Like, I'm pretty
sure they got the trade exception based off them like dropping the salary off on Utah. But I'm not mistaken. I'll look right now.
Okay, but like, I don't really like. Are you still going to move DeAndre Hunter? I mean, I think they could. Like, that's probably because they have like a bajillion wings. I still like Jalen Johnson out of Duke. Like, that's still a kid who could have been like good. I think he just got stuck. But they're gonna have to pay a Kongwu next year.
Yeah.
And obviously they were trying to dump him on Collins on Dallas because Dallas was trying to get Clint Capella for the 10th pick, and they were like, no, you can take John Collins. So like, it's like a blatant salary dump, but there had to be more. Like, you don't normally dump like this type of, like, granted they didn't have to give many picks, which generally happens when you're the one giving up the salary guy, like you have to throw in picks or something, but like he's still, I don't know, is he like 26?
I mean, 25.
He's still got he's, you know,
2 years ago he was a borderline all-star. If you look at his numbers from a few years ago, he was up there. By the way, it created a $25.3 million trade exception for the Hawks with that move.
Well,
that's what.
Now they let's be clear. Like, just because you have a trade exception doesn't mean it doesn't.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Dallas got Richard Holmes from the one when they made the trade, but like Boston, they got Evan Fournier. So like, it depends on who's coming around.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, unless we hear something major happening over the next few days coming from the Hawks side, this $25.3 million trade exemption means absolutely nothing right now. Unless we hear, like I said, they're making some moves. They're going after Cat. They're doing something. Who knows? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Yeah, it's just pure salary dump. But at the same time, it's like, what are you going to use this
like if you're going to go
trade exemption on?
If you're going to flip this for Cat, wouldn't like John Collins be a better asset than?
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, if you're going to make a move for Cat or someone, you just throw John Collins in the equation. I think Minnesota would be interested in that if they were going to do something. Who knows?
NBA free agency officially kicks off on Friday. So let us talk about some of the players who are available, whether it's somebody like a Draymond Green who declined his player option. Do we expect him to come back to the Warriors or see things elsewhere?
I think he's all right. So Draymond has two options. I think he can come back to the Warriors probably for like a lower price. I think probably maybe they can convince him to come in the 20s. But I think the more fun option would be for him to go to Sacramento.
Yeah.
What about him go to the Knicks? Oh my God, him under the bright lights in New York City.
As long as he doesn't punch it.
I wouldn't think Tibbs would go after something like Draymond.
Would that be?
No,
I think Tibbs and Draymond would clash. Like,
I think so too. But oh my God,
you heard about him and Obi clashing.
Very entertaining. If he went to.
Can we talk about the Knicks very quickly? Like, they signed Obi's brother, and I think that's a really good idea because it worked out really well with J.R. Smith's brother. And I think that's the type of thing you should do when you fumble your eighth overall pick. You sign his brother.
Yeah, might as well make it work.
You know,
All
with
the Cavs signed up for Mobley's brother. Bucks got Thanasis. Just
All
be
right,
their
so-
Hey,
bench
Thanasis
warrior.
is a champion.
Okay. So
Thanasis
this
is.
is
I love Thanasis. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. I love Thanasis. He's awesome.
this is some insight. Honestly, now that they got rid of Jordan Poole, though, honestly, that could give Draymond Green an incentive to stay.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but
I think that was
I think
I
them
think
or
one of the
Sacramento.
reasons why
Yeah.
you could argue they made the deal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Apparently, I'm reading right now that he punched him in the face because Jordan Poole bragged that he hooked up with more women and
Oh.
called Draymond Green broke. That's why he
Yeah.
punched him in the
Yeah,
I
he
face.
called them,
never
like,
heard the
soft.
actual reason.
Yeah,
of
he
it.
called them like soft and was bragging about all this
Soft.
stuff, and then Draymond just had enough and just punched him because he was like, "Dude, you shut up." He kind of did like a dude shut up, and then actually almost killed him. But
that really did. create
Jordan
bad
Poole
karma
gets
for
traded
that entire
immediately. Jordan
season.
Poole gets traded immediately, unfollows him on Instagram. Everything's good. They're good now. They don't have to talk to one another anymore. But
Chris-
yeah.
Chris Middleton declined his player option. He's a free agent. Are we interested to see where he's going?
I think he's coming back, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think so,
trying to do
too.
this anyway. There's just Sacramento has such a need for a wing, whether it's, and I'm just gonna go through all, whether it's fucking Draymond, whether it's Chris Middleton, whether it's Kyle Kuzma, one of those guys in Sacramento would be good. But he's got to stay.
I think he has to stay.
Just they got to go one more, and then they can figure it out from there. Other than that, I don't.
I think give Draymond 1 year, 20+ million. See if he bites at it. I don't know if
think you have to give
long term. Maybe you
Yeah,
give him
long-
3
the
years and a
problem-
player option on the third year or something, or a team option on the
Yeah,
third
something
year.
like a team option, a declining salary type thing.
Yeah.
But the thing with losing Middleton is the Bucks can't do a hard reset to suck for a couple of years because they have no picks.
Yeah, no.
So they kind of have to play through it for a couple of years. And I think you're not going to find somebody who's as good as Middleton in this and even if you can't do a sign and trade, or because he already opted out, so they can't have him opt in and then go somewhere else. I don't know. I think Milwaukee's the answer. Again, he would be really good in Sacramento. This Kings team's fun, and I want them to be good now because it's funny. But I don't fucking know. I mean, a lot of teams could use a Chris Middleton.
Yeah, he would definitely be desirable. Some of them.
But I think Milwaukee's the best spot.
Yeah, I think so too.
Man, what are some of the other free agents that are going to be available? Whether it's a Fred VanVleet, Kyrie, Russell Westbrook, Austin Reeves, Dylan Brooks.
Kyrie's staying.
Derrick Rose. Don't forget D Rose. No.
Yes, D Rose is available now. Yes, sorry. Yes,
Well,
Kyrie's
Chicago's still
stay,
going to bring
but-
him in, right? That's what I thought.
I heard it's Chicago, LA, Lakers. I mean, I can't remember what other two teams I saw.
Well, either LA team could use him.
Is James Harden going back to the Sixers? Because
We
there's a
don't
lot
know.
of
It seems that way. The reports are that he's leaning to going back to Philly.
Yes,
He would be
also-
such a bitch to go to Houston. He would be such a bitch.
Well, but he would also put such a log jam into there now. All those guards, unless they move they do a sign and trade, and
They would
I
waive
don't
Kevin Porter.
I don't even know if Philly wants Kevin Porter to team up with Embiid. I feel like that's just not gonna work.
Yeah, no, they would have to sign it. I don't know if they can, because didn't he opt out?
Who?
James Harden. So you
I
have
think
to sign.
he did opt out, but yeah, he would have
Yeah,
to.
he's
But the
officially a
sign
free, he's
trade
officially a
sign
free
move,
agent now.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a free agent. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have to be.
Yeah, I think he's
a
probably
sign
coming back. I think one of the big names is, I think Brook Lopez might leave.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I'm hearing
that's
that,
interesting develop of where Brook Lopez is going to land. If he,
I know he's
leaves.
talking about Houston. I think he'd be really good in San Antonio. For
I
2 years.
I like it. I like what you said about San Antonio. I think he'd be a good mentor for Wemby. I think he fits kind of that San Antonio culture. I think it'd be a cool idea to have that.
Because the thing is, he already won. He got the title.
Yeah.
He can just Brook Lopez deserves to be fucking happy. The man was in those Nets
And
teams.
he took the team friendly deal too. People forget that. He went to Milwaukee on a low deal, and he gave them team friendly deals. Now it's time for you to get the bag, if you will.
Yeah, I think again, Houston is the wrong place for him.
Yeah.
Because they don't really deserve to be happy. but like Charlotte could throw the bag at him. Fred VanVleet is a little more interesting. Like people keep saying San Antonio. I don't want him to go there. I think he's probably out in Orlando now because they have like 12 point guards. Maybe if they
like
can
$30 million a year too, supposedly.
yeah, maybe if they can get him on like a cheaper deal, maybe Memphis might be an interesting place for him to go. Obviously the Clippers if they can get him on a cheap deal. I don't know. Like he's probably going to go back to Houston because to Toronto because it feels very much like Toronto's going to run this back. Like that's
what it seems like, but they also seem like they were kind of done with Fred too. It seemed like both of them were kind of done with one another. It was weird.
Yeah, but he just may want more money. But like Houston, they much feel like they're running this back, and that feels like a mistake. Like Siakam said, like I'm not going to resign. Like I'm going to stay in Toronto, which like
supposedly Siakam may get traded. That's what I'm hearing recently.
Yeah, but he's like, yeah, I'm not resigning. He's like, I want to stay in Toronto. But like, fuck you, man. Like, time to go. Like it's Scotty's time.
Right.
Like I think like that would be the worst decision of the offseason if Toronto ran this back. Like this team is not that good. It just wasn't.
That's why they got
need to rebuild this year.
Nick Nurse
and Jakob Poeltl. Like, can this man play for a team that actually gives a shit? Like, I love him. I love
Jakob Poeltl.
Like this was like
clearly turned me around this year.
This was the big problem with Jakob. Like keeping him, he's like the perfect guy next to win. But like you can't keep him because he was too good that you would win the many games.
Yeah.
But fucking I don't know where you set him on a team that's actually good that needs like a center.
Is he a member of the tribe Jakob? No. Is he Jewish? I don't even know.
He's
ridiculous question. Ridiculous question. But Jakob, I don't know. Not relevant for this conversation, but
no, I have a funny story about that. About Judaism after the pod. But something efficient said the
you know who, and I just want to say the Knicks, they're going to wind up getting Dante DiVincenzo, and that's going to be who Leon's going to tell us tonight.
Add more to the Villanova people.
Supposedly they want George Niang. That's what they want. That's what they're one of the guys.
Just make us Team Villanova. I don't care.
First off, that Villanova team was really fucking good.
I know.
Like,
it's not a bad.
I don't think DiVincenzo.
Josh Hart, by the way, will re-sign with the Knicks.
Yeah,
they're saying Josh Hart.
I don't think DiVincenzo's leaving Golden State. Like he's too good. He's too young for them.
He is too good. But I mean, come on. He fit the timeline for the Knicks so perfectly. Just we're just having all the Villanova reunion. Just destroy it.
They're saying,
just take him. And I'm pretty sure Eric Pascal's a free agent.
They're also saying OG Anunoby may leave Toronto. That's what they're saying too.
Well, he's going to get the question is, do they want to pay him? Because he's up next year.
Knicks. They said the Knicks could reopen their interest in getting OG.
That would be a good pickup. The problem is you're going to have to pay him. Depends on what you trade for.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's RJ Barrett.
And they said we're willing to offer Toronto multiple first-round picks for him. That's what they're saying for OG Anunoby, which I think would kind of be a little.
They do have the picks. They do have the picks. They might as well use them if it means.
It's not like they're good at drafting, so they might as well like give it to somebody else to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like not their picks. They have a bunch of picks that aren't theirs that they can.
They got a bunch of assets. I'd say use them. I don't care at this point. Yeah.
And let's put it out.
OG is not going to solve your problems because your problems are deeper than just one player. But like he should be.
No, OG Anunoby would help him a lot.
Yeah, he's really fucking good.
Yeah, he's good. I like OG a lot.
I'm so mad he stayed there that they didn't get him when they traded Kawhi. Also, like the Clippers are fucked. Like they just are. Like Kawhi is never gonna he
play
again. Honestly,
he
probably should retire. Like
my God, Stephen A. went off on Kawhi Leonard. He called him the worst type of superstar there is. He's unmarketable and he's never healthy. That's what he said. He doesn't do anything to. I think he said he doesn't do anything to really help your franchise, and he's never on the court enough.
That's first off, that's a little absurd because two separate franchises were titles with him. It's like it's unfortunate that I don't know what is going on with his knees, but like
I do agree with him. I agree with Stephen A. to an extent that he absolutely does nothing absolutely to to market your franchise. I agree with you on that.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with
That I agree with him on that.
Yeah.
100%. He's not a marketable player. Like he's not.
Listen,
He
this is what's going to
could be,
happen
but
with
like
Kawhi.
you have to be creative.
Yeah.
He's going to
Just-
retire,
just
like
be
you
weird.
said. Kawhi's going to go into a Ferrari and just drive into the
Never gonna
sunset.
hear from him again.
It never,
We're
He
never
is
going to hear
gone.
him until the NBA 100th anniversary team, which
He's gonna-
he
yeah.
will make, and I think he should.
No,
make.
he's one of the greatest players of this generation. He's
Yeah.
going to be a Hall of Fame player.
But that's when we're
Yeah,
going to see him
but
again.
He's like the crazy thing. He's gonna be that weird Spur outliner. Like teams have that weird guy. Like Kawhi is like you're never gonna see Kawhi hanging out with Spurs guys. Like they fucking hate.
No,
him.
no.
Like Derek Jeter never hangs out with Yankee guys. It'll be like that.
Yeah.
Like
Oh man, just
I mean, he's
quick.
gonna get his jersey retired in Toronto.
Oh yeah,
Probably.
1 year. Yeah, probably.
He's
Probably.
what, the
Yeah,
best.
probably. Yeah.
He's like the best Raptor ever.
Yeah, that's true. They're going to retire his jersey in Toronto.
Him and
Fidelio.
Kyle Lowry both getting retired.
Him, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, and Vince Carter.
Yes.
all you need.
What a
Renelio,
thing.
who is LeBron gonna force the Lakers to get?
Whoever's holding the gun at the end. I don't know. Whatever Patsy wants to be sold down.
You wouldn't want to play with Dame and LeBron? You
Dame
wouldn't
doesn't want
play
to
with
be
Dame?
on a super team, he said. So you're not.
Also, what are
he's
they
not
gonna
going with
offer him?
Dame.
They're not gonna trade.
They're not going to trade Austin Reeves. So,
No, they're definitely not going to trade Austin Reeves. No, there's two different questions going on. It's which Patsy is he going to summon to LA to make one more versus who's actually a good fit that should come to LA. Two different questions. I think that they could pull magic out of a hat and get someone at the end of their career, but I just I would feel bad for them.
Oh man, LeBron and the
Don't do it to
Lakers.
Dame.
A case
He's too-
study.
Too good. He's too good. Don't ruin
The
him.
poo-poo
Dame
platter
doesn't
of,
want to be on a super team, he said. So it's not going to happen.
Mo
Sorry,
Bamba
LeBron.
Yeah, he won't.
And Michael Beasley is not enticing people. Mo Bamba and Beasley.
It's Mo Bamba.
that's
Mo
not-
Bamba. There we go.
Mo Bamba's going.
Mo Bamba
He
year.
said he's going to Chicago.
I don't know why. Why would he go there? He should stay in LA.
Fuck it, they should sign him and not Vooch.
That's a good point.
Where is Russ gonna wind up? Is he gonna? What
staying
is
in
gonna
LA.
be his
He's
test?
staying in
going
LA.
back
He's
to
gonna
the
stay in
Clippers.
Clippers?
He's
He's
going to
staying
the
with
Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
okay.
no doubt about it.
And we hit on pretty much the Dame stuff, but I guess the last player to really mention is Zion Williamson, who has literally the craziest person on his back right here. That's going to be a great Netflix documentary. You saw Mariah Mills got a tattoo of his name on her
I'm
face.
praying. I am praying that was a temporary tattoo, but she's crazy enough
Bamba
that
played
she
at
puts that on her face.
Farmingdale?
He
Did not
did.
know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But Zion, what
really
what
hope
is
that's
he? What are we
temporary
gonna
tattoo.
do with Zion,
One
guys?
more year. He gets
Oh.
one more
He gets-
year,
Yeah, I agree.
and
One
then
more. That's it.
and then you. But I don't obviously like if he can't really be healthy next year. I don't know how much it affects his trade value. Like,
Someone will still go for the potential, but I don't think
Yeah.
New Orleans is going to get back as much as they hope.
because right now he's one of those he means more to us than he does
Yeah.
to you type guys. Because like if he's healthy, they're gonna be really fucking good.
Yeah.
So,
New Orleans.
Pelicans.
New Orleans,
If
yeah.
he's not healthy, well then they're kind of in the same spot they've been anyway.
Well, if
So-
anybody had any doubt what was going on with his knees, I think we figured it out.
Yeah, he just needs to take a chill pill.
yeah, he does.
Oh,
Just needs to take a chill pill.
Take less pills.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, like she really like doing some damning stuff. There has to be some illegal stuff thrown in there. You can't just
Well, she was
post someone like
she was-
that.
She's got to get arrested at some point for all the
Yeah.
stuff she said. Because if you releases anything that she said she was going to release, that's like
That's
she's
legit
revenge
libel.
gonna release, like,
charges
sex-
and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
she
And
gonna release, like,
harassment. Yeah,
Was she gonna
It
release like
depends on the
sex
state,
tapes of him or
they're-
whatever?
yeah. Like if she releases any of the stuff, like you said, the sex
Yeah.
tapes, whatever, that's all like revenge stuff, and you
Yeah.
get in a lot of trouble these days for doing stuff like that. So
I think
I just-
the NBA and the porn industry is just a match made in hell because it's just a bunch of people in a daddy issues.
And I saw somebody commented it was a semi-viral clip about NBA players and Instagram models matching. Who was it? Like Gilbert Arenas? I don't
Yeah,
know.
Gilbert
Probably.
Arenas. We meet
Yeah,
the worst
yeah.
women in life.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
same guy who
They
brought
all-
a gun in the
They all
locker
fall
room,
for the fool's
making
gold.
good decisions.
He brought a loaded gun into the locker room,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah,
a gun.
then they
Not a
pointed it
gun.
too.
Imagine
threatened
that
someone
game
with it.
fucking went off.
Gilbert Arenas was so
God.
good in the league until he lost his mind.
I loved Agent Zero.
Well,
man.
then his
Agent
knees
Zero
were
was
like-
so
Gilbert
good.
Arenas is a
Well, yeah,
fucking
it was like Agent. It was like he was Agent Zero, like he was just going off. Then his knees started to fall apart, and then he brought the loaded gun, and that was it. Everyone's like, "All right, your knees are done. You're a psycho now. You're being crazy."
When he was in
good.
Orlando, like he was He was so bad, like he couldn't dribble at all. I remember because
Yeah.
I used to be like a big Magic guy, like those early Orlando years.
Yeah.
That 09 stretch.
Yeah.
He couldn't dribble at all. Like he had to
No.
sprint up the court
Yeah.
to make sure that nobody picked him up because he was
Yeah.
like incapable.
He
of
could,
dribbling.
he couldn't zigzag his way past half court. It was bad. It was so
Like
bad.
I was like the biggest when I was a kid. I was like the biggest fan of Brandon Roy till he blew out his knees.
Dude, Brandon Roy is
Brandon
like
Roy is
goated-
criminally underrated.
Well,
for
Brandon Roy was
how
awesome.
good he was
I mean,
until he
They
blew his
if
knees
they had
blew out.
Oden and all those guys healthy, they would have been awesome.
That Portland team would have been
Oh,
insane if they all
if-
stayed healthy.
because Greg Oden was
Greg
good when he
Oden
played.
and stuff. Did
Now,
you see
Greg
that
Oden,
clip?
Brandon
Right.
Roy, Dame, and LaMarcus Aldridge
Well,
potentially.
they wouldn't have had
They would've been
Dame.
awesome.
Oh, they wouldn't have Dame. They would have had. It would have been. They still would have LA though, right?
Would've
Wouldn't
had-
have been
It
Brandon
would've
Roy,
been-
LA,
it was
and Oden.
Aldridge, and it was
Yeah.
Oden, Aldridge, and then Brandon Roy. Like,
Brother,
that was
that
Did you see the
three is
clip
nasty if they all stayed healthy.
Oden, I think he's a grad student at Ohio State.
Yeah, he's
And
yeah.
then, and
Yeah.
then
I
I didn't
someone
know he
asked,
played.
"Did you
I
play
didn't know he played for
basketball?"
Play
5
You-
years
basketball?
for the
Oh,
fucking.
the pay.
Yeah, it was the number one pick in the draft, ma'am.
If you can't make it in your industry, just go back to school.
Yeah, smart.
He got picked over Kevin Durant. Man.
Best sister.
That's great.
Best sister.
All right, guys. We hit everything we needed to and more. We will react throughout the next few weeks to the signings. So it'll be good stuff there, and watch out for that. And man, basketball is back on starting a new season already. So it's some good
Excited.
stuff there.
Season never ends.
Alex Hayden Faces, great work, everybody. We'll see you soon.
See you soon, guys.